of the rest of our thing.
Okay. Recording in progress.
Hi, welcome to Kavanah number 2. I think maybe I scared people away with the title of this month's Kavanah, Growth, Violence, and Manifestation. But it's not scary, as you will soon see, I hope. Let me start screen sharing, because that's a thing I can do. Yay! I'm getting so good at this. All right, so I changed it slightly to springing forth from winter, but it's still growth, violence, and manifestation, because spring is the most violent season. And there you can see the epitome of spring violent animals, the goose on a nest. That's not the goose we have anymore, which is sad.
Amen to that.
But Carrie's bringing me a gander, and then the geese that we have will be very happy.
Oh, excellent.
This is the same group that we had last time. So just, again, few housekeeping things. I'm not here to convert you to anything, not even my barking pack of animals. We're just here to dialogue and discuss and just be with our sinuses and colds and dreck. All right, so let's start with wintering, which we're unfortunately in what, like 4th Hobbit winter now, something like that. 5th winter, who's keeping track?
At least.
What does it look like on the surface, winter? Like when you say the word or when you look outside, what do you think of?
Snow.
Obviously cold.
Wind.
For me, the biggest one for me is the lack of green. Because I love the green, and the lack of it is very stark.
Yeah. So everything bare, kind of bony, hard. I think of it as a hard season. It's hard to get through, but like everything is rock and ice and the bones of the tree, not the soft leafy foliage. Does the inside of winter match the outside of winter?
What do you mean by inside?
Well, we're going to talk in a little bit about the inside of us versus the outside of us. But what I just said about winter being hard, if you think about wintering in your home, what does that look like?
Warm.
Yeah. Warm, soft. We have blankets, we're cozy, we wrap ourselves up as much as we can.
Heat, fire, hot drinks.
So there's this dichotomy of like what's external in our worlds versus what's internal, what's in us, and where we place ourselves. And for those of us who farm, where we have to go every day, twice a day, and the bundling of softness that requires. So what is the purpose of winter?
It lets things sleep and gather strength for spring and summer.
So I used to fight winter with every fiber of my being because my seasonal depression is so horrible that I would just like be fetal from like October to the solstice every year. But this year I very intentionally was like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to embrace winter like a little hibernation. I'm going to be like a little hibernating animal, and I am going to enjoy it this time. And by God, I kind of did.
So how did you prepare for that?
I think I made sure that I had a lot of things to do. I think that's what like I miss about the busy months, especially on the farm. So like I had lots of books I wanted to read and subjects I wanted to study, and I did a lot of like introspection and a lot of like personal inner growth and exploration. That was good when it's dark. It's 5 o'clock and you have to sit in your chair and in the dark.
Right. And Lori, you and Tom have kind of perfected our next topic of winter, but how do you winter?
Why have we perfected that?
I mean, you have fun with it. Of all
We
the
have
people
our-
I know, like you really embrace, like we're just gonna wrap ourselves in every kind of coziness.
Right. We put on our onesies with our hoods. We have our hot drinks and we do puzzles. And I
Build
send him off to the other
complicated
side of,
Legos.
yes, build Legos on the calm days. On the calmer days, yeah.
Has anybody read the book Wintering by Catherine May?
No,
They were totally quiet until we started this. I'll have
Sure.
you know.
Well,
Just
you didn't invite them, and now
FY your eyes. Shut up. Now we're back to Mom, are you in there? So Catherine May had I believe it was an accident that like kind of like my feet, it forced her to be down for quite a while. I can't remember if it was an accident or an illness. And so she coined this term of wintering because she was able for the first time in her life she had no choice but to embrace rest. And like Lori said, winter is the season where things take a break from growing. That's why it looks so bare on the outside, but on the inside, they're putting down roots. They're reserving their nutrients. Their things are quiet so that they can burst forth as they're about to do. So she learned, it's a really, really good book and we should all get a copy of it. Unfortunately, I'm not Oprah, so I can't be like, you get a copy and you get a copy. But
fine.
I wish I could. So here's one of her quotes, or an excerpt from her book. Plants and animals don't fight the winter. They don't pretend it's not happening and attempt to carry on living the same lives that they lived in the summer. They prepare, they adapt, they perform extraordinary acts of metamorphosis to get them through. Winter is a time of withdrawing from the world, maximizing scant resources, carrying out acts of brutal efficiency, and vanishing from sight. But that's where the transformation occurs. Let's give Zoe a moment to get caught up with us. There's much wrestling happening on the porch.
Well, they got quiet though.
Three
Kids.
dogs enter the octagon. Three dogs better leave. Hi, Zoe. We're discussing the topic of wintering, which is how we get through winter, how we maybe even enjoy it, maybe.
Okay.
So we've just read this excerpt from the book Wintering by Catherine May. And Lori had pointed out that winter is the time when everything's quiet and the growing stops. And Carrie had said how difficult that is because the world is so bare out. This point about withdrawing from the world and carrying out acts of brutal efficiency and vanishing from sight. I mean, that's certainly the case with foliage, right? And with animals too, you'll find a skull of something that has died because they had too scant resources, or there just wasn't enough to support them. So now let's talk about how we cope. All of us, all beings.
Okay.
What is hibernation? It's bears, right? It's actually
Yes,
many
the bears.
mammals. Many mammals hibernate. I did not know this. And frogs as well hibernate. You know, and turtles, they go into the mud under where it's not as cold and they're not going to freeze, and their bodies just slow down. So
And doinks.
I'm sorry?
Doinks too.
Yes. Yep. And in some cases, if it's a full hibernation, then they literally do shut down. Like frogs, they're all but dead. You would never know there was anything living. And then there's bears where they might sleep for 90 days at a time. They give birth while they're in their dens, and and they form like natural butt plugs. They don't poop while they're hibernating. but they don't need to, because their respiration, their circulation, all of their body processes have slowed down so much that nothing comes out.
Well, nothing goes in.
Right. They're living off their fat reserves. Animals can hibernate as a reaction to stress. So this is a bit of a reach, but just thinking about if you were to do that in reaction to stress, wombats during the horrible Australian fires, to me would be an example of like, we're just going to den down. We don't need to go outside. We don't need to eat. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to shut it all in until it's safe to come out again. They conserve their scant resources. You could think of it almost as extreme meditation, because in many cases, bears are actually awake, but it's like, you know, when you're falling asleep watching TV and you know what part of the show you're on, but your eyes aren't open, it's kind of like that. Just this twilight. It's like the perpetual colonoscopy, rest, amnesia drug. It's a period of rest and healing. Their bodies aren't working, and so they can repair themselves. And they come out of it, well,
Yes.
minus needing food, they come out of it, you know, essentially stronger than they were before. Mentally, you know, for those first year bears, it's something they've survived it, right? Once you can survive that isolation, once you can survive the shutdown, and hopefully you know where I'm going with this, you are mentally and emotionally stronger. You know you can do it. And then it makes coming out in the world again so much sweeter. And then I want to not contrast that, but put that alongside the concept of hygge, hygge. There are different interpretations of pronunciation. It's the Danish national cultural practice of coziness. Tom and Lori should retire to be Danish.
I'll tell him that.
Because you've perfected this art of coziness. If you Google this word, you will see roaring fires and cups of tea and steaming coffee and gleaming wine and books everywhere, wool socks, blankets, pillows. And it is, if hibernation is the shutting down, then hygge is like decorating your den. It's human denning. And it's our way of coping with how bare and hard everything is outside. So we talked about layering on the clothes and putting on the fun onesie with the hood and getting some color around you somehow. And, you know, learning something new or escaping into a craft or a topic that you've been dying to learn about. All of that is your way of creating your hibernaculum, your place that you're going to den down in winter. Your place of reserves of your scant resources, be they emotional or physical or what have you. And it's all about just morale boosting through the darkest time. This is another quote from Catherine May's book. That's the gift of winter. It's irresistible. Change will happen in its wake, whether we like it or not. We can come out of it wearing a different coat. So, you know, in Carrie's case, how much have you learned from reading all these books and studying all these topics that you now get to carry out your front door into the world and be a completely reborn person in some sense? You know, how can you have ingested all of that knowledge and not have it change you in some way? And I think the experience of winter every year we have it, or whatever season of our lives we're in, changes us in some way. You know, like breaking my feet. I am definitely not the same person that I was when I took walking for granted.
Mhm.
Everyone's so quiet and dark.
I know, there's no one here. Just me.
Oh, blue skies.
Yay.
So pretty. So cold.
Yeah.
So bundled.
Just making sure they're with me here. No, you're absolutely right. I think that, and also to coincide with that, I have rheumatoid arthritis, or well, they don't know. They think it's that, maybe plus another that they haven't pegged yet, but whatever. Anyway, I too was crippled for a short time in October and had to be on steroids and all that stuff. And so, yes, when you are, it's one thing to choose to hibernate. It's another thing to be forced to hibernate. But I don't think that the forced hibernation has to be any less meaningful than one you chose.
That's a really good point. Yeah. I like her use of the word irresistible, because we think of something irresistible like a cake, right? Or chocolate ice cream, something that you want that you just can't live without. But irresistible actually means you are unable to resist it. Winter's going to come. It's going to happen. You know, like COVID happened. You can't change anything about that. But the way that you come out of it and the way that you go forward, that's your choice. What did you take from this human winter? What are you leaving with? And no, it's not over, but it's better. I mean, we're not in total lockdown. So that what happens after winter, what happens when we come out of it is spring. And spring is the most violent season. People think it's winter because things die and freeze. And people think it's autumn because all the leaves fall off in one big batch. But the leaves fall off because they're no longer necessary. They've served their purpose. Spring, though, is an eruption. And it doesn't matter what it is, plant or animal. You can see there, that's a leaf popping out on an apple tree. It buds from beneath the skin and the skin bulges and swells. It's like an abscess, and then the leaves come out and the extra branches and all of that growth happens from within. It has to burst through the body of the plant. The bottom there where you have the metamorphosis from seed to seedling, I mean, it's just exploding. It's bursting out of the seed, and then it has to find its way to the light somehow, and it has to tunnel through the soil, which you wouldn't think weighs that much, but to a tiny little, I mean, when you touch the leaflet of a brand new plant, they can't hardly hold their little 2 leaves up. How do they do that?
Yeah.
The way that a baby bird pecks through an egg. And I mean, if that isn't violent, I don't know what is. With a little knob on their beaks, they have to break through an eggshell, and it's so easy for us. And you can't help them. You're not supposed to help them. If they don't pip, they won't make it in life. How they start is everything. But it's this wrestling literally to break free. And, you know, Carrie works in birth. She'll tell you, Judy's seen a ton of birth. It's violent. It's not pretty. But then when it's all over, it's glorious. It's the thing we cherish the most, right? And that we wouldn't appreciate without the loss and the bare bones of winter. So this is the stages of awakening. This is metamorphosis, and I glittered out the curse words so it's family friendly. But I love this, and I use it often with my friends in conversation. Which stage of awakening are you in? It's not always the same. Where does it start? With the caterpillar, right? And it looks completely different. It's this tiny little fuzzy thing, and all it does is eat and poop, eat and poop, eat and poop, eat and poop. And then it makes out of its own spit this shell that in the case of a monarch is beautiful. They're beautiful green, and they're lined with little dots of literal gold. I mean, it's insane. They build these things with their wormy little mouths, and they're like 11,000 legs. I'm being so scientifically correct right now. I just want you to know.
It's true.
And then look what happens on the inside. They completely transform. They turn to goo. Just, which by the way is the same thing that happens in your teenager's brain. Like their language centers melt and have to rebuild their little brains. So you can't hate them too much, but oh, this hurts is not just for them, it's for parents too. And then they start crawling out. Sometimes you get to go frontward. Sometimes, I mean, did you all get to watch the cicadas last year? They erupt from their backs. So do spiders. Like they have to push their entire brand new body that they have no idea how to use out of this little hole in the back of what used to be their body. And now they have wings and they've never had wings before. And they're supposed to just take to the sky. Zero number of rodeos seems like too low a number of rodeos. But they're beautiful and we love them.
Mhm.
So metamorphosis literally is the process of transformation from an immature form to an adult form. So from various larval or nymphal stages to the dragonflies and butterflies and frogs and what have you that we all love. But also for us, and in Catherine May's definition of wintering, it's a change of form or nature. So the way that we are on the outside with our broken feet and rheumatoid arthritis, or on the inside with our heels, into a completely different one by natural or supernatural means. How interesting is that? So how do animals deal with their metamorphosis? I mean, we know how humans deal, right? We whine a lot, we cry, we seek various professional help, pharmaceuticals, anything, any hygge to make us feel better about what we're going through. But animals have various means of resilience as well. You have to think like, who tells, like tadpoles, right? They hatch from eggs. Who tells them what to expect? And then all of a sudden they're swimming around and like Jeff pops a leg. What is happening? And then Carl pops 2 legs and all of a sudden they're not swimming anymore. They're hopping. And like, is that going to happen to me too? I know I'm laying a lot of emotion on these animals, but like, it's a lot. So tadpoles, while they're feeling vulnerable, deal with it collectively, as we are now, my little tadpole friends. We gather together in groups and we talk it out and we do something that feels good and we make it better. We make it through. Safety in numbers. And as the wise Alex Rosenberg says, metamorphosis is necessary because nothing changes if nothing changes. Here we have a spider. Tarantulas are probably the most exciting because their skeletons are huge, but this is a littler spider and it seems to be having some trouble letting go. Isn't that familiar? I mean, even with like, I keep going back to myself as an example, but even with my feet, I was like, I've got this. Carrie, didn't I tell you like the first day? I was like, this isn't going to slow me down at all. And it dropped me on my butt for like 9 months.
I'm like, maybe you should prepare for the possibility that that will not be happening tomorrow.
No.
Like you.
No. I've got this.
No, it's fine. I'm fine.
I've got this. And then even when we're not fine, that's what we say, right? Especially as women. I'm fine. I'm fine. I will be fine. I will figure it out because that's what we do. So a spider, when she molts, has like no defenses. Neither does a butterfly, neither does a cicada. Neither does that mantis that I posted online yesterday. There is a period of time where they are soft and gooey and adjusting and literally just breathing into this brand new body, which, as we all know where we live right now, sometimes breathing is the hardest thing. It's just bleh, right? Sinuses and drainage and pollen and bleh. So she just hangs out, not feeling very pretty, until her exoskeleton hardens off and she's strong enough that she can rejoin spider society. There are communal living spiders. Or, go build her web somewhere because she's got the protein to spare and catch a bug and resume normal life. Sometimes you just need to hole up in your human hibernaculum and breathe and drink a bunch of tea And that's okay too. And sometimes people need to let us do that. That's the other hard part. I was complaining earlier today. I keep seeing online every animal under the sun is giving birth right now because it's spring and that's what they do. And not every baby makes it. But for some reason, people think that if a mother loses her child, it's got to be replaced. It has to be replaced right now. And can I have one of yours? Because I need to make my animal not feel bad about what she's going through. Sometimes you just got to go through it. And it sucks to watch someone you love hurt, and it sucks to watch them struggle. But sometimes they just need to like hang out with their little skeleton for a little while until they're ready to let go. And then you can be there to catch them. Yay. You can be the net. So this was really long, and I promise it's worth it. I thought about not including it, but it's really good. Here's another truth about wintering. You'll find wisdom in your winter. And once it's over, it's your responsibility to pass it on. That's part of why I'm doing this. And in return, it's our responsibility to listen to those who have wintered before us. It's an exchange of gifts in which nobody loses out. This may involve the breaking of a lifelong habit, one passed down carefully through generations. That of looking at other people's misfortunes and feeling certain that they brought them upon themselves in a way that you never would. That would never happen to me. I would never be homeless because I would just get a job. I would just blah, blah, blah. This isn't just an unkind attitude. It does us harm because it keeps us from learning that disasters do indeed happen and how we can adapt when they do. It stops us from reaching out to those who are suffering. And when our own disaster comes, it forces us into a humiliated retreat as we try to hunt down mistakes that we never made in the first place, or wrong-headed attitudes that we never held. Like, well, now that I've lost my job and I said that I would never lose my job, what do I do? How do I tell people? Or I just graduated and I should have a job in my field, and how come I don't? Everybody else does, right? Either that, or we become certain that there must be someone out there we can blame. Well, I would have kept my apartment if such and such had happened. I did what I was supposed to do. Watching winter and really listening to its messages, we learn that effect is often disproportionate to cause, that tiny mistakes can lead to huge disasters, that life is often bloody unfair, but it carries on happening with or without our consent. We learn to look more kindly on other people's crises because they are so often portents of our own future. And unfortunately, this has become all too real in the last 4 weeks. The situation in Ukraine could very well be us, if a couple things were different. So what does that mean? Watching somebody else's winter, watching those people's worlds literally explode. I mean, as a farmer, you can't help but think about the births of the animals that are happening over there. Are they early? How are they going? How do you even resource your farm and the things that you need? Because, I mean, there's no transport, there's no certainty. It's day to day. And then, 2 weeks ago, they said if they didn't get their wheat in 3 weeks, they would lose their crop this year. Ukraine provides, this is so weird. They're the world's leading purveyor of sunflower oil, which you wouldn't think is that big a deal. Okay, we'll use a different oil. Except sunflower oil, it turns out, is essentially baby foods. It's virtually irreplaceable. So, like, are the world's babies just supposed to not eat Gerber anymore? I mean, and I can't remember the percentage. I should have looked it up. I'm sorry, but they provide a fair amount of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East wheat. Countries depend on them, and there's not going to be any wheat. And so suddenly, watching somebody else's winter becomes all of us
Mhm.
through no fault of our own or their own. None of us did any of this. We didn't ask for it, and it happened anyway. So as we do every month, we ask, what is our Kavanah? What is our intention? And last month we talked about Lent in terms of, fasting from mindless consumption. But now it's spring, right? We're about to come up on Easter. We're exiting the period of refrain and jumping into fecundity and fertility and abundance all around us. So what's springing up for you? What's coming up that you're motivated to begin anew?
At the garden, the vegetable garden.
That's a good one.
Anyone else?
I'm gonna be honest. Not ready to leave winter. Doug wants to add like another farmer's market this year. And I'm just like, wow, I work 40 hours a week in healthcare, which is so fun right now.
Yeah.
Sending nurses to prison and such. Let's just add some more on to my not a 9-to-5 job that's sometimes longer when things are out of control like they have been. So I'm a little reluctant to step out of my cocoon because it's warm in there.
Yeah.
And safe.
Yeah.
Which is weird for me because I miss let's spring into the year. We're ready for some busyness. But I'm not feeling it this year.
Well, but is that a lesson of winter for you? Of, the refraining is really maybe not that bad, and maybe stepping into that busyness with a little more moderation.
Yeah, definitely. And then everything has a season. There's always an ending and a beginning. So whether you like it or not, spring is coming. So choose your character.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyone else? So right now we're in like 4th or 5th winter, like we said. It's not quite spring, but we've had some spring weather. It's not quite winter, but it still feels like it. Keep the coat handy. So this is what's called a liminal space. It is a space between two set things. It's a transitional space. And it's great for inventory, taking stock of, what? Some of that rest would be great to carry into the busyness of spring. And you know what? I'm really ready for some greens. So let's get some plants in the ground and releasing that which no longer serves. So like the sense of heaviness and feeling like you have to sit, or maybe that winter weight, or, some people switch from hot tea and coffee to iced tea and coffee, any of those things. Maybe cleaning out your closets, right? Spring cleaning is very popular. You've filled up your hibernaculum all around you, and now you got to tunnel your way out. And for setting intentions, what do I want the busy season to look like? What do I want to carry forward? And if other people are having trouble coming out of their winters, be it literal or metaphoric, what can I do to help them? So again, this is a Shemitah year, which means setting aside a portion of your field or all of your field, letting the land rest, hibernating, conserving growth, right? So those are all things to think about. And as you go through your metamorphosis, again, be it just coming out of winter and shaking off the physical torpor, or metaphoric, something spiritual, emotional, mental, changing jobs, changing homes, changing whatever, trust yourself. What is meant for you will be for you.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it is, no matter how it feels now, it won't always be that way.
Words solidify.
What is meant for me will be for me.
Talking.
She's trying to come in. Let me in. This is meant for me. I'm cat. So who's feeling stuffy? Carrie, I don't have to ask you. I already know. We have a little time, which I'm very glad about, because I would love to throw in a little bit of restorative yoga, if that's cool with you all. It's like I told Lori, it's lay there and do nothing yoga. It's not like active move around yoga. So I'm going to give you a minute or two to, if you have a pillow handy or a blanket or something that you can just like use to support your hips. You can do it in a chair. I'll give chair and laying down. If you want to lay down, this is like great for that. And that's all you need the space for, is just to lay down, and you don't have to have your video on. It is 6:38 and we'll start that at 6:40. All of a sudden, none of you look excited. I'm scared.
It's fine. It'll be fine.
I'm in.
Hey, how is Steve?
He's hanging in there, but slipping away.
Yeah.
Oh,
Days or weeks?
Hard to tell. The vet said 2 weeks to 2 months. Wednesday is 2 weeks. He's still kind of having a kitty life-ish. His
Steve
world gets,
metamorphoses at his own time.
yeah. His world gets smaller day by day. He did take a good walk, though. That's why I was late.
Oh, good.
Good walk. So
He is also in a liminal space.
yes. He's gonna be something else.
He's going to be food for bunnies. It is right and just.
It's true. Because he killed a bunch of bunnies.
Bunnies you ate, and to bunnies you shall return.
Indeed. Indeed. I'm going to do mine in a chair.
Very good. All right. So however you are, if you are seated, get yourself comfortable, wiggle around a little bit, get your butt down in that chair. And if you're lying down, just relax with your legs out long. If you're seated, support your legs either by putting them up on something or just having them out in front of you. Feel free to do that as well. And we're going to start with a full body scan, which is not a medical procedure, but instead it's just a checking in with ourselves. So at least when you sleep, your body is your human hibernaculum, right? And so it rests for you, it supports you so that you can have a brain that does things and thinks things. So in your comfortable position, close your eyes. Let your breath come however it comes. And just check in. If you've had a busy day, this may be the first time today that you've had the opportunity to do that. How are you doing? Where does it hurt?
I can't unclench my jaw.
Where is it tight? Where do you not feel ease of movement? What part of your human form is holding on to things for you? Those tests you have to grade, that book you haven't read, the physical exertion you shouldn't have done but did, the to-do list that hasn't been done yet. The thing that hurts on the inside, where is that manifesting inside you? And now, with your breath coming just as it comes, can you try to release one thing? One muscle in your hips that lets you rest deeper in your chair. Something in your back that lets you sink into the floor. And notice if you're able to let go of one thing, what changes for you? In your breath, in your posture. Knowing that that's just where you are today. Tomorrow will be different. Every day is different. And now, can you feel into your feet? Start to move your toes. Enjoying remembering that you have 5 of them and that they can move individually. Maybe flexing at the ankle. Feeling all of the bones and tissue that support you every step of your life and make driving possible and walking and doing all the things that you love to do. And just tell your feet thank you. And now, whether you're in a chair or lying on the ground, bring your knees up one at a time. Doesn't matter how high, it doesn't have to be all the way. You can just lift them off the ground as high as they will go. Bring some awareness to your legs. Maybe give your knees a little massage. This is the next place that your kinetic energy goes. They may crunch. They may complain, especially when we wake up in this time between the seasons. And again, whether you're lying on the ground or sitting in a chair, just gently windshield wiper your legs side to side. Feeling your glutes rock back and forth. Bringing some loving attention to your hips and your butt that also allow you to sit and do all wonderful things that you like to do. I'm just moving too much. And now, if you've got your little pillow or blanket, you can place it just at the base of your spine, right here. If you're sitting in a chair, you can put it behind you, unless you have a lumbar support pillow, and then you've already got your support. But we're just going to place it to support our hips so we can find some ease through our sacrum. And notice how that support, elevating that area or having it, the support behind you, how that changes your posture. And if that gives you any sense of release in your hips. If you have a yoga block handy, you can use that. And I'll show you if you're lying down. Just right at the base here. And then over the top. And just breathe into it. You will probably feel a stretch. We tend to fold up like little cashews during winter. And now is the time to remind our bodies that we are in fact long, willowy, upright beings, capable of great expansion. Now is not the time to cocoon, but to burst forth. If you feel your glutes tightening up, just send a little loving awareness down there and tell your butt that it can relax. And breathe into it. As simple as this feels, you may even get some sinus drainage going with this, even though it's your hips that are elevated and not at all your sinuses. Check in with the front of your body. What's going on there? When we cashew up, as it stretches our back, but it also hunches our front, we tighten down. So see if you can find some expansion, especially through your side body as you breathe. Let your legs be heavy. If you're in a chair, there's a propensity to have your arms kind of gripping on the armrests. So make sure that you're either resting your hands with your palms up on your thighs, or just let them hang at your sides. And if you let them hang long, kind of shake them out. Move your fingers. Remind your arms that there are two of them and that they're separate from your body and they can move freely from their beautiful shoulder sockets. Take one more breath and then either lift your legs or turn to the side and remove that flock, blanket, or pillow. And then just let gravity massage that area for you again. You might hear a click or pop. You might feel some expansion through your hips or lengthening in your spine. You might feel nothing at all. Wherever you're at today is okay. And now we're going to move up the spine If you are seated in a chair, go ahead and fold your blanket so that you can support the upper part of your spine. In fact, I'm going to do this over a blanket instead of the block because the block is too much for me. So I'm folding my blanket in thirds and I'm going to place it so that my sacrum is flat, but my upper back is against the blanket and my head is back. You could do a forward fold variation of this if you wanted to in a chair. Place your feet flat on the floor. Take your arms out and then ragdoll forward and let your head hang between your knees. If you're lying down, you're looking for broad shoulders, shoulder girdle expansion, and the crown of your head against your mat. And it may take some positioning to find that. If you spend long periods of time in a chair and you can get to this position at all on your break, this is fantastic because we spend so much time with our arms in front of us, tightening all of that. And sitting in an office chair is a type of back bend like this. We tend to be very concave through our lower backs. If you're sitting and you can scoot forward safely in your chair, try and squish your shoulder blades together and release. Inhale, shoulder blades together. And then exhale, release. You may feel a little drainage from your ears. And so we'll come to a neutral spine. Remove that block. And just take a minute, following your sinuses, gently, gently, gently. From the front, point your third eye. Follow it over your eyebrows. Massage your temples. Right in front of your ears. Down to your jaw. And as you work your fingers over your jaw, see if you can't give your jaw to your hands. Just let it be nice and easeful. And wiggle your tongue. We hold a lot of tension in our tongues. And then just drag those fingers down your neck to your clavicles.
crap.
This is an excellent time to practice the challenge of giving thanks for things we don't like. As we go through this turbulence between the seasons, and we have all this sinus pressure and allergies and unwanted experiences in our heads, swings in barometric pressure, can we find just a kernel of gratitude that although this change is very rocky and sometimes uncomfortable, what follows is beautiful. And if not, there's always Claritin. If you're able, whether you're sitting, because I don't know what everybody's chair situation is like, let's try and open the hips, just one at a time. So if you're seated, and you can just pull one leg up and gently out to the side. This is super how I want to be seen on video. Just grab your knee and pull it out as far as is comfortable. Little bit of motion.
I'll just do right arms.
Engage that core. Everything gets so tight when we're hibernating. And then let's take one arm over and exhale. Feeling that lovely stretch in the back of the shoulder. Not forcing anything. Letting one hand support the weight of the arm. The other arm over. And then take both arms to the front and give yourself a great big hug. And on the exhale, thank yourself. Thank you, body, for getting me through winter. We did it. Normally here I would do Shavasana, but since some of you are in chairs and it's not very comfortable to just sit in chair for a while, I trust you to Shavasana yourselves. So we will sweep our arms overhead. Inhale. Exhale, hands heart center. Yay, springtime. Thank you all for coming back. It makes me very happy.
Thank you for that.
You see your girl before I go.
Oh,
Mizzy. I'm trying to do restorative yoga over there on the trailer, and all I get is her bellowing for treats.
Restorative Koga.
Look at her.
She says, restore alfalfa pellets to my mouth.
Yes. You see your girl before I had to go.
So next month is going to be Secrets of Leadership. I'm gonna practice how to do that with the Zoom, like, and a mic. So we'll see. I am planning to do it in person though too, if you're interested in coming. We can talk about time. Are Mondays good for everybody? Because I kind of have it set where it's the last. Hi, Kitty, Zoe, Kitty. Hi, Kitty. I kind of have it set where it's the last Monday of every month, but we can change the day if that works better for people.
It works. Let's check the calendar.
Good. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So it's gonna be not as off-putting a topic, I guess.
This was a great topic.
Thanks. I think
thought it was
having
good.
violence in there scared people. I don't know. But yeah, so like it's not it's gonna be like principles of leadership for anybody. So if you have colleagues or friends or think you're ever going to be in a leadership position, you know, invite. Most of the topics and dates and Zoom meetings are up on our website, valleyhooffiberemporium.com/calendar. So you can hopefully click, maybe, I hope, and sign up there and see what's coming up. We also have Shearpalooza and Local Yarn Store Day on April 30th. There will be lambs. There better be kids because that goat is overdue.
Oh my God.
She's not quite overdue, but she's very close.
I still could bring you like some Pitocin, or I could steal you some Pitocin from the hospital. We could juice her. I'm
telling you. She'd be so mad though. They're not done yet. Yeah, so that's an in-person thing too, 10 to 5 on the 30th. I'm hoping Carrie will be here with her lovely brooms and other things for sale. And Lori has stuff that will be in the shop, and Tom as well. Handmade, hand-sewn items, handmade seam rippers if you like to sew, hand-turned bowls, things of that nature. Awesome face masks. One of them has profanity on it. And what else? What else?
What else?
Anything?
Droopy
I'm starting Tea
Sparkle.
with Sheep on April 17th. You can also see more about that on the calendar page. You can book your Tea with Sheep for up to 6 people and play pasture croquet and have delicious goodies. Some of them are cheesecakes made by Tom, and they're amazing. And yeah, go forth.
Thank
Be
you.
well.
Thank you,
Do
Madeline.
spring. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
here. I get scared that nobody's gonna come, and then
Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing it. Thank you for having this. It was quite helpful and relaxing.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and please, I'm open to suggestions. So if there's something you want more of or less of, tell me. We hated that, and then I won't do it anymore. I'm easy. So, yeah, thank you for being here. Look at that. We're only 7 minutes over time and we started late. So, yay, I'm doing better.
Good job.
I love all of you, and give Steve kisses.
Heart and heart.
Steve coming? Do we get to see Steve? Zoe, do you get to see Steve very often?
Oh, when I visit home, yeah.
Are you down here still?
Yeah, I'm in Lexington.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Come visit me. Go hang out with Carrie and her cows.
Ooh.
Oh, handsome.
You're so cute.
What a good boy.
He's very floppy these days. You can
Oh,
see
he is a little floppy.
Why hold yourself up if Judy can hold you up for you?
he goes
What's
walkies
that?
on a leash. He's a clever.
Steve.
He's got a black tail too.
Oh, how cute.
He's not usually this cuddly. He's too floppy. Go flop.
What?
Little floppy man.
And warm.
He's done. Say goodbye.
He's done.